And I don't know what I wouldn't say I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something more to it.
It is, and the phrase you're stumbling towards but not quite reaching is acid jazz.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. You know me. I'm Andy. You know him. That's John. And you probably know music. And that's what we're here to discuss. John is going to offer up something for me to go off and listen to. I'm intrigued as always. John, what have you got up your sleeve?
Okay, so there's a band called Corduroy.
Like the autumnal winter fabric?
Yes, like the trousers your geography teacher used to wear.
Okay. Perfect. Then okay, I'm at least familiar with those pants. I don't know if I'm familiar with the band. I don't think I am.
Okay, so this is a track called E-Type.
E-type. Okay.
Yes.
All
E-Type
right.
was just as your reference, was a model of a Jaguar car.
Okay. Like
Very,
you had the
very
S class or something. Okay.
way back. Very
Yeah.
sexy. One of the greatest cars ever made.
Oh, okay. Well, let me go off and give this a listen. I'll see if any of that context is relatable to my experience listening to this song. And spoiler alert, it won't be. Okay. Well, that makes the name of the song make all that much more sense. Let me go off and give it a test drive, and I'll come back and let you know how she handles. Oh my god. Oh, those rim hits. God. I'm in love. I'm in love. Oh my god, this sounds so good. Stuck here, I'm bookended by two basses behind me. I love the bass. I love rhythm sections. This sounds so good. Oh my god, this jazzy drum shit. It sounds so authentic. It doesn't sound like fabricated or phony. I mean, this sounds of a time. And the bass, oh my god, it starts off fun and playful, and now it's just hair on fire, man. This is great shit. Great shit. Great. It's like the keys are going from like piano to organ too and shifting back and forth. I'm loving that sound so much. Yeah, the drums, man, is this could be like Buddy Rich or Gene Krupa. This is like some of the OG great big band drummers. That's the quality that we're getting out of this, and I love it. But all that being said, this bass is just not letting me go either. It's just old faithful. If I shift for a second and a half to try to hear something else, I will. But then I inevitably will get drawn back into the gravity of the bass. this is great, man. guitar licks. Oh, bass. Oh, the tickling in that note. See that, like that was the other stuff was like almost like ragtimey piano, and now we're into this like very organ forward sound. I don't know if that's just one person going between two sounds or two instruments, but oh, I love that. These drums. So good. Oh, the rapidity. Do you think I liked it? Do you think? Oh my god, I loved it. Yeah, this is great. This is awesome. Everybody, everybody did their part. I mean, I would be a liar if I said the rhythm section didn't shine. And gun to head, if I had to pick between the two in some sort of like fucked up musical Sophie's Choice, I guess I'd go with the bass. But my god, this was great. John is like so like I like so much of the stuff he gives me, and I like it all really to varying degrees because he's never given me anything I've been like, eh. Um, but like when it comes to these just musical numbers where there are no vocals or lyrics that you have to that and rightfully so that you have to listen to and kind of like look for meaning behind and also the musical aspect of the voice as well, like the pitch and the tone and vibrato and all that stuff. We want to like that warrants focusing on. But when you give me something like this, oh, half of my workload is off my shoulders, right? Like all I have to do is really focus on the music, and it becomes I don't want. It's not more enjoyable. It's just easier, and therefore, like it makes everything that you need to hear easier to latch onto and to kind of focus on, and not try to strike this balance between these two worlds within the song. And John is so good at giving me these because I think every single time he's given me something that's just an instrumental, I've like absolutely adored it. And this is obviously another case of that. Like, I'm gonna search this out and like download it, and I will be listening to it. Like, this is like, I call the songs like this like getting shit done songs. So like whenever I need to go get shit done, this will be coming through the cans for sure. All right, let's get back to John and tell him how great he's done. All right, see you on the other side.
Okay, so you're back from your little spin around the block,
Mm-hmm.
fully alighted, and I hope you didn't steal the fairy dice. So what did you think?
I would describe it as a joyride because that's exactly what it was. I fucking loved this thing, man. As I often do when you offer me up these just straight musical numbers, which is to take nothing away from some of the really awesome lyrics and vocal deliveries and some of the tracks you've offered me in the past, but it is like you are batting 1,000 when it comes to just offering up these kinds of tracks for me. And your streak continues. So we get this like lovely little bass line and rhythmic work on the percussions. And they're complemented by like the rhythmic work on the percussions, which is something that is pervasive throughout the song. As it kind of unfolded before me, was like the rim work, like all this great rim work on these drums, man. Ah, oh, so good. But they're complemented by the simple but engaging melody on the piano. It almost sounds like some form of like a playful jazz as we get our footing here. And then guitar enters the fray, and it does its own like little slightly screechy run of notes that occasionally slide in like actual like note riffing, as opposed to just these kind of noises that it's making at other times. And I'm already loving where the song is headed. And we get to about the 45-second marker in the song and pretty much onward from here. And the song is really like coalescing, coming together. And I have to say, and I'm going to repeat myself, I'm sure. The rhythm section in this band are so good, man. It is incredible how good they sound together. They're just killing it. And there are heavy doses of this bass running amok, like in the bottom of the mix, all over the place, sliding all up and down the neck, and adding these like really funkalicious movements with fills and all these things throughout the whole song. It's just when in doubt, you'll come back to the bass. Like something will it be like you're in a really loving relationship and a pretty girl walks by. All the other instruments in this songs are the pretty girls, although the drum is the prettiest of those pretty girls, but the bass line is the old tried and true misses, man. You can't beat it. Yeah. So the precision of the drum hits on the rims and these tasteful splashes of the cymbals give like such a big band jazz vibes to me. With hints and suggestions to some of the drum greats of that era, like Buddy Rich or Gene Krupa or Louis Bellson. It's just wonderful. It's such a throwback. Every other instrument, it sounds like a more modern take on jazz, but at its essence, the drums really capture that classic like big band. Oh my god, it is so clean and just pure sounding. Around the 152 mark, the guitar leans into the wah pedal and provides this added color over top that unstoppable force that is the rhythm section. And about 30 seconds later, we get this lovely syncopated bit where the instruments form this united front building into the next motif of the song. And it's fleeting, but it's one of the rare parts in the song where everybody says, all right, we're going to stop trying to one up each other and we're going to come together for this, segue into what is this really pretty piano organ type portion of the song where
It's my favorite bit. That
that
build
that
up and then the
where
breakout.
yeah, because it's like we're a band in this one moment, we're a unified front of a band, and then the rest of it, we're all just disparate musicians that happen to sound fucking awesome together. And it's a weird little juxtaposition in the song, and it is, like I said, fleeting, it's momentary, but it does a really good job of signaling this run of like featured instruments that we're going to go on, which is very much like a trope of this kind of song, right? Where it's like, all right, we're going to do this baton passing where everybody gets their moment in the sun, and that moment where before they allow each other to shine independently, they come together, and it's actually kind of brilliant when you think about it. They're all like coming, all right, before we split and fracture and do our thing, let's like sign off on us together before we enter that, and I just loved that. It was really really great. Um, and the just after that, we just after like the piano and the organs go through all their lovely sound, because that is what happens, right? It starts off piano-y and then it shifts to an organ. Okay. Um, there is this we are shot into perhaps the most jazzy bit of an already quite jazzy number, where those aforementioned drums really shine. Rim hits and ride cymbals are played with deftness that is undeniably engaging, and that would have any flapper raising a jazz hand above their shoulders. I mean, it was right out of that scene. It screamed the stock market's about to crash, and I just loved that. And from this point on, the song rides itself to dawn, with everyone continuing to impress me, with a slight nod going to both the bassist and the drummer. But I think at the end of the day, as a bass player, for whatever reason, that bass line and everything that guy or person was doing was just outstanding. It was an absolute treat to listen to, and a song that I will without question revisit and download if I can. And it was just like this lovely. It was modern jazz, but it had these lovely doff of the caps to jazz that came before it. But it also had, I don't know, there was, I know I spoke of modernity in the sake of comparing it to jazz, but there was something else contemporary about it that wasn't just jazz. And I don't know what I wouldn't say I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's something more to it. And I think it goes with the production, and just the overall quality of the sound of the song. So
It is, and yet the phrase you're stumbling towards but not quite reaching is acid jazz.
acid jazz. Yeah, well, there you go. Electronic jazz, acid jazz. Yes, that's the next, evolutionary, for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, Corduroy are an English four-piece acid jazz outfit based in London. They evolved from a previous band called Boys Wonder, and they formed in 1991 initially for a one-off New Year's Eve party, and then had so much fun they continued. So it's based around two brothers. So Scott Addison is vocals and keyboard. Ben Addison is drums and occasionally vocals, actually. More on that in a bit. Simon,
Hats off to Ben on the drum work,
yeah.
because that was incredible.
So they brought on board as well Simon Nelson Smith on guitar. And then finally joined them was Richard Searle on bass guitar.
Big Dick
Now,
Saul killed it, man.
as a little aside, he was previously in a band called Doctor and the Medics when they were a very minor band and suddenly had a massive UK #1 hit with a cover of Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky. And when I say massive, it was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was in that band previously in the mid-80s, it would have been. I remember I've got the single 7-inch somewhere, so I'd say around 85, 86, something like that. So the self-dubbed Fabric Four, as they call themselves, primarily recorded in sort of film soundtrack style, and many and most of their tracks, at least initially, were instrumentals. So they released their first album, and The Enemy wrote about it. Whereas the rest of acid jazz roster fidgeted around in a world of skinny-ribbed roll necks, comparing sideburn growth, Corduroy managed to swagger through the same po-faced domain with a couldn't care less braggadocio. Corduroy have got their collective tongue firmly stuck in someone else's cheek here, and it feels staggeringly good. So there is a difference of opinion on this. I never saw the acid jazz scene as being this like trendy po-faced shite, but I guess that's what people like me now think about all the sort of Dalston wankers and Shoreditch and all that shit, and the new sort of trendy vibe going on that sort of neck of the woods. But yeah, some people absolutely adore this. Other people saw this as complete throwaway nonsense, and sort of pastiche in its worst form. Um, but yeah, I did. I really like this. So louder than war. Sorry, said Dad Man Cat takes a stab at 1960s Michael Caine, Alfie, and Blow Up with its revved up organ grooves, silky bass, smooth lines, fast moving guitar riffs, and drums that sound at times to be being played at 10,000 miles an hour. It was a minor sort of hit of its time and pretty much a cult favorite. They released two more albums on Acid Jazz label, High Havoc in 1993, which included the almost hit single Something in My Eye. It sort of flirted around the nether regions of the charts, but never quite made it. And that track in particular is like a Sergio Mendes inspired Brazilian samba-esque track. So it's got a bit of that sort of Brazilian beach party vibe to it, which is
Uh-huh.
very, very cool. And then the following year, Out of Here album, 1994. And then I signed with Big Cat Records and did a further two albums, The New You, which I've got knocking around somewhere, 1997, and Click, spelt with CLIK, exclamation mark,
Mhm.
in 1999. But when they discovered that Big Cat Records had been dropped by their parent company, V2, Corduroy decided to split. Um, they did various things and then they reformed without Searle for a couple of gigs in 2007. And Ben actually released around that time an album of Beatles covers called Fab Guero, and the artist name he chose was Ben from Corduroy. Uh,
Really thought outside the box on that one. Of
I have got that album as well, and
course.
it's fun in places, it's painful in others. So you cherry pick. So again, this sort of acid jazz, slight Brazilian feel to Beatles covered songs. Yeah, yeah. Imagine,
Interesting.
not imagine. That's just a Leonard song, but you know what I mean. Um, so in 2018, they released their first album in 18 years called "The Return of the Fabric Four." Record Collector awarded the album 4 stars out of 5, and in its review called the album another groovy imaginary soundtrack to a 60s spy film. Part nostalgia, part originality, wholly fun. It also appears that they've released a mini album in 2023 called Men of the Cloth. But apart from a listing on Discogs and a dead link on their website, which goes nowhere, I can't find any other info about it. Um, their own website describes their live performances as energetic and infectious, rubber band bass runs, buzzsaw guitar lines, creative funky drumming, and a relentless soundscape of Hammond organ and melodic electric piano combine into an adrenaline rush that is exciting, filmic, and cartoonish. Um, and that's about all there is on them, to be fair, really. I mean, there's lots of people either slagging them off or saying what a wonderful time they had bouncing around to this in the 90s. Um, it's a lot of fun, though, and I think it's really infectious.
Oh, it is.
And like you said about with instrumentals, the great thing about them is you just free range on your imagination, and the song can quite often be what you want it to be. It could be
Mhm.
a soundtrack to you driving through sort of Southern English country lanes with the roof down on your Jaguar E-Type, or it could be pulling up to the side of a street party beachfront in Cannes, or it could be just spinning around the block to the mini market in Baltimore, whatever. Um,
Wonder
and
which one I'm going to find myself in of those situations. Be out there raking leaves to this.
yes, as opposed to checking for crushed glass into your
Yeah,
feet.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is,
the wire. Yes.
yes, yeah.
Thanks, Bubbles. Yeah. So yeah, I just find this great, fun, and I've always been a sucker for acid jazz. It may be cheesy, it may be sort of, pastiche in some ways, but oh my God, if you're out of an evening and you've got enough alcohol inside you, you cannot beat this being blasting through
Yeah.
a group of people, and you just go ape shit. It's brilliant. So yeah,
Yeah,
I thought I'd
it's hard. It's
run it
hard for
away.
me to even look at it through the lens of someone who would describe this as cheesy. If I'm being completely honest, now I'm sure that we've admitted and succumbed to the idea that of course music is subjective and how you feel about something is how you feel about something. You can't really change that. But to me, this is like, I mean, this is mastery of one's instrument across all boards in the song. I mean, each one of their boxes should be checked and marks should be high. They did a superb job, man. God damn, if that bass player didn't exist, the drumming on this would be some of the best drumming I've heard on any track you've given me. And maybe I'm a sucker for jazz drums, but
Yeah,
that's how
yeah.
I feel.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one critic listed the album after this, which probably isn't quite as funky, but it's still pretty good. But one critic said it was incidental music for people with incidental lives. 1 out of 5. That's almost pitchfork worth the review. That is
Yeah. That's
terrible.
pretentious fork is what it should be. That is
But
just
that was from Select, which the people who write this shit sometimes they're on the nose, but most of the time they're at their own arse and they can't
yeah.
find that with 2 hands on a map. So there you go. But anyway, enough of all those nonsense. Yeah, this is fun. I love it. So I'm
Yeah.
glad you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, it makes two of us, man.
It's cool. We'll go and get our cravats ready for the next one. Um,
Hell yeah. I'll clean all the glass out of the sole of my shoe.
I will say this. I might give you see how this goes with the folks on the channel. I might even ignore the response and do it anyway. But one of the tracks I've got here, which you may or may not love, are you familiar? You are familiar with the band Motorhead.
Yes.
Are you familiar with their eponymous song Motorhead by
Yeah.
Motorhead?
Yes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
My God.
They've done a cover version of it in an acid jazz style.
Well, to be fair, like I shouldn't be that surprised after your whole Beatles anecdote and and they're going down that route. So now I suppose the sky's the limit on possibilities and crazy ideas that they might have for covers. So shit, now I'm intrigued to the point where it's like watching a car crash. Like I don't want to see it. I have to. I don't want to hear that. I must. So
Yeah,
yeah, offered up.
it's one of my favorite cover songs ever. I'll have to say, just because of the actual absurdity of it,
Well then, I think
and,
that seals it.
and the videos were really funny as well. There you go. Right, yeah, I'll dig that out then at some point.
Excellent.
Brilliant. Okay, I shall wrap things up.
Okay.
Thanks so much for listening to this, folks out there. Tell us what you think of Corduroy, of this track. Just let us know just how funky you are.
Yeah.
Hit the like button, drop some comments. Any other sort of thoughts, memories, tracks from Corduroy, that whole acid jazz scene. I have to say, I mean, I wasn't there all the time, but I certainly participated a bit in the early 90s. Madame Jojo's and then onwards for the funk and into that Purple Lounge as well. Had some great nights had by all there. Didn't wear any Cuban heels, but apart from that, I was fully involved. So yeah, let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. We'd love to have you on board. And help support this channel. We really appreciate everyone that does. That being said, thanks so much for watching. And we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.